Hi everybody, I made it back. This is chapter 20. This chapter is called Poppy. The coldness of the water, its utter darkness, shocked Poppy. Not only did she not move, she didn't know which way to move. Instead, she sank, spiraling down. Unless she did something quickly, she would drown. She began to thrash wildly. Her frenzy got her nowhere. Still sinking, she tried to think herself into calmness, succeeding just enough to move her legs and arms in unison. Within moments, she bumped against some twigs. She grabbed hold. Her breath was giving out. Letting go of the twigs, she clawed frantically upward and forward, hoping she was clear of the lodge. Like a cork popping from a bottle, Poppy burst upon the pond's surface. Splashing frantically, she gulped great draughts of air into her hungry lungs. She looked up. Through waterlogged eyes, she saw blurry bits of light. At first, she thought they were fireflies. Then she realized she was seeing stars. Never before had stars seemed so beautiful. She was out of the lodge. Now, however, she had to get to the shore. She doubted her ability to swim. Flailing, she tried to make some sense of where she was. She did see what appeared to be other lodges. She wanted to avoid them. As she floundered, she felt a bump on her head. Ready to defend herself, she whirled. It was only a chip of wood. Eagerly, she held on. It kept her afloat. Clinging to the chip, Poppy kicked vigorously. She began to move forward. Her progress was slow. Her energy was ebbing. Now and again, she rested her head on the wood chip. She forced herself to think of Rye, caged in the beaver's lodge. At least I'm free, she chided herself and resumed kicking. 20 minutes later, she came to a lurching halt. In a daze, she looked up. Land rose before her. She had reached the shore. A weary Poppy stumbled out of the water. Once on land, she gave herself a vigorous shake, ridding herself of what felt like a ton of water. Much later, down on the ground and cradled her head in her paws. Only then did she allow herself to feel the full depth of her exhaustion. Never again, she vowed, would she go into the water. As she lay there, she thought of the imprisoned Rye and reviewed her plan. She would get another vine, longer than the one she had just used, and drop it down the vent hole. She would go down Rye out of the cage. The two of them would climb out. There was no other way, and she wanted it to happen quickly. Poppy hurried up the hill. By the time she reached the boulder, the pink glow of sunlight had begun to bloom upon the eastern horizon. Birds began to twitter, and there was a desperate need to make up for lost time. She considered the pond. As Poppy watched, a swarm of beavers emerged from the lodge where she knew Rye was being held. She studied them with intense anger. They were so large and powerful, and those teeth, and huge tails. She hurried into the nest. The mice were but moving about as though weighted by great burdens. No one looked up or around. Talk was minimal. Little tasks were being performed with minute attention. The family was preparing to move. "I'm back," Poppy announced. The mice paused in their work and looked around. "Ah, Poppy," Valerian said sadly, "I thought you had left us." "Not at all. I went to see Rye." "Rye? How'd you do that?" Curly Duck called out. Poppy told how she got into the beaver's lodge and of her subsequent visit with Rye. "He's not happy," she told them, "but he's all right." "But why did he even go there?" Clover asked. "He wanted to do something about the beavers." "Did he?" "No." Valerian's tail waved in agitation. "Why, that mouse must always be trying to prove himself. I can't begin to imagine. And now a prisoner held for a ransom, the ransom being our moving away. Well, we're trying to go as quickly as we can." "I do have a plan to free him," Poppy offered. The nest became very still. "Miss Poppy," Valerian said, drawing himself up and speaking somberly, "ever since you came to the nest, you've been telling and doing some remarkable things. We don't doubt you're an exceptional creature. Perhaps living quietly and simply by the brook, we've become a tad shy of difficulty. No doubt the beavers have unnerved us, too. But the truth is," Valerian concluded, "it would be better if we just gave in." Won't you even listen to my plan? Valerian sighed. I guess we can. You just mustn't expect us to do anything. As Rye's family stared at her with dull eyes and twitching ears, an uncomfortable Poppy stood in the middle of the nest. She felt some anger. These mice had been generous when she told them of Ragweed's death. Now that she was suggesting they do something to keep Rye from dying, they were not so hospitable. I got into the beaver's main lodge, she told them anew, by using a vent hole and a vine to drop down inside. Unfortunately, Rye and I couldn't break his cage. I need more teeth or paws. I'll need a few of you to join me when I return to the lodge with a longer vine. Going into the beaver's lodge? Cried an alarmed mouse. Right, the way I did. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Called another. Those beavers are so big, a swat of their tails. And what about those teeth? Still another said. One bite and goodbye. Poppy held up a paw to still the objections. I have a friend, my best friend. He came with me here from Dimwood Forest. Another mouse? Asked one of the youngsters. He's a porcupine. His name is Aerith. Porcupine quills are very sharp. My friend is always losing his. I'll get some. When we go into the lodge, we'll each carry a quill to defend ourselves. One quill against all those beavers? Asked another. Exactly. Where is this friend of yours? Someone asked. Waiting for me up beyond the ridge. Valerian cleared his throat. Poppy, how many of us do you propose it'll take to get Rye out? There's me, of course, she replied, but at least a couple of others. No one spoke. It was Clover who said, Poppy, perhaps you could get Rye out, but what about the beavers? They'll simply go on building. What will happen to the rest of us? I'm not sure. Poppy must free Rye. My dear, Clover said, I do wish I could believe your plan would be helpful. I truly do, but no, I can't. She turned to Valerian. Do you? She asked. Valerian gazed at his feet. It seems awful risky, he said gloomily. He looked up. And it sure will create greater danger for the rest. No one spoke. Then, speaking gently, Poppy said, But as I understand it, you've not resisted them at all. Once again, there was silence. Valerian cleared his throat. Poppy, he said, since this matter concerns the family, we need to talk this over. Privately. All right, Poppy said, trying to hide her disappointment. I'll go where my friend is waiting, gather up some quills, and bring them back. When I do, you can tell me what you'd like to do. I think that would be best, Valerian agreed. An angry Poppy ran up the entryway, took one more look down on in the lodge where she knew Rye was being kept, then hurried up toward the ridge. She had no trouble finding the cottonwood where she had seen Aerith go, but the porcupine was nowhere in sight. So it seems that Aerith left the tree kind of alone now, so I don't know that Poppy's going to be able to find him. We also don't know if Valerian and Clover are going to agree to Poppy's plan, and we know that Poppy's feeling really frustrated and worried about that, and angry. So we will see what happens. I'll try to post a chapter tomorrow. I'm not going to be online as much tomorrow since it's Greta's birthday, but I will post some things tomorrow for you. All right, have a great afternoon.